Africa, the cradle of humanity, a continent of vast resources, immense cultures, and resilient peoples. And yet when we speak of global development, Africa is too often described in terms of poverty, conflict, and dependency. But why? How did the richest continent in natural wealth become home to some of the world's most impoverished populations? This is not just a question of economics, it's a question of history, justice, and liberation. As Pan-Africanists, we look beyond the surface to uncover the deep-rooted forces that continue to hinder Africa's full potential. This is our truth. This is our story. The narrative of African underdevelopment did not begin in the 20th century. It was carefully constructed over centuries by those who sought to dominate the continent. From early colonial propaganda to modern media stereotypes, Africa has been portrayed as backward and in need of rescue. These myths served as justifications for exploitation. But the truth is, Africa was not underdeveloped before European contact. Civilizations like Mali, Kemet, Aksum, Great Zimbabwe, and the Oyo Empire had thriving economies, educational systems, and complex governance. The myth of African inferiority is a tool of oppression, and it still lingers in the minds of many today. From the late 19th century, Europe carved up Africa like a pie at the Berlin Conference with no regard for the people living on the land. Colonialism was not about development, it was about extraction. The British, French, Portuguese, Belgians, and others exploited Africa's labor and resources to build their own wealth. Infrastructure was built not for Africans, but to export goods. Education was minimal. Industry was discouraged. Resistance was met with violence. Generations were robbed not only of resources, but of autonomy, pride, and progress. The legacy of colonialism is not just historical. It still shapes economic, political, and social realities today. When African nations gained political independence in the mid-20th century, the chains of colonialism were not truly broken. They simply changed form. Neo-colonialism took its place. Former colonial powers maintained control through multinational corporations, unfair trade agreements, and financial institutions like the IMF and World Bank. These institutions imposed structural adjustment programs that gutted education, healthcare, and local industries. African leaders were often forced into debt traps and beholden to foreign interests. True economic freedom was never granted. Independence became a flag without power. Colonial borders were drawn arbitrarily, dividing ethnic groups and merging incompatible ones. This strategy of divide and rule sowed seeds of division that continue to grow. Post-independence, many African countries were left with weak institutions, tribal rivalries, and power vacuums. The West exploited these divisions through coups, puppet regimes, and interference. The Congo crisis, Biafra, Rwanda, these were not failures of Africa, but consequences of external manipulation and historical injustice. A fragmented continent cannot stand strong. Unity is not just a dream, it is a necessity. Africa is rich in oil, diamonds, gold, cobalt, and more. Yet these resources have brought more conflict than prosperity. Why? Because they are controlled by foreign companies and elites who profit while communities remain poor. This is the resource curse. Wealth is extracted and exported, not reinvested. Western-backed regimes are rewarded for keeping the status quo. Local populations are displaced, environments destroyed, and workers exploited. The real crime is not that Africa is poor, it's that its wealth is stolen. We must also be honest. Some of Africa's struggles stem from internal issues. Corruption, lack of visionary leadership, and failure to build strong institutions. But even these are not purely African problems. They are symptoms of a system designed to suppress development. When leaders are propped up by foreign powers or prioritize personal gain over public good, the people suffer. Pan-Africanism demands accountability, not just from outsiders, but from within. Africa's future lies in reclaiming our narrative, our resources, and our power. We must invest in African education, innovation, agriculture, and manufacturing. We must unite across borders, cultures, and languages. We must build institutions that serve the people, not foreign agendas. Pan-Africanism is not just ideology, it's a roadmap to dignity, development, and destiny. Young Africans are rising with new energy. The diaspora is reconnecting. The drumbeat of liberation grows louder. The time for excuses is over. Africa is not underdeveloped. It has been underdeveloped by systems of greed, violence, and exploitation, but we are not victims. We are heirs of empires, builders of civilizations, and warriors for justice. The road ahead is long, but the vision is clear. With unity, clarity, and courage, Africa shall rise. Let no one tell our story but us. Let no one define our future but us. Let Africa speak, act, and lead on its own terms.